Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, Fearless Freedom family. This is Dr. G. Today, we have an extraordinary woman who is going to share with us what she is up to, who she is, and that is Kearn Cherry. Kearn, can you tell us all about yourself and what you're up to?
Well, yes. I am a business owner. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, over 20-something years. I've been in the healthcare field for over 30 years. I own a company called PRN Home Care. I co-founded and director of Success Women's Conference, where we have over 1,000 women in attendance every year. Mother of three, fortunate to have two doctors in the family, and my son owns his own company as well. And I'm a grandma, but I'm always busy, always putting things together and always doing something new.
Awesome. Now, there are a lot of things that you mentioned there that we can definitely unpack. First of all, I want to say, we are twinning in that. I mean, obviously my children are not old enough to be in their own professions because mine are still pretty young, but I have 3 as well. So, high five.
Yeah.
High 10. But
yes,
that is awesome that you have all 3 are very successful. So that's a testament to your, who you are as a mom and as an example to them. So, congratulations on that. Because that's, parenting is not an easy job or easy choice.
That is true.
Definitely. And then, so, let's talk about a couple of things in regard to you having this much experience in the field. Now, you mentioned that you've been a business owner for more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is correct.
So was there any fear with starting your first business? Because it seems like my understanding is, and you got to give us the backstory. My understanding is that first business, you were pretty young when you started it.
Yes. Actually, we started our first business in Arizona, and it's probably over 30 years ago.
Okay.
We actually started like a knick-knack shop back then, and sure, there was a lot of fear behind it. To me, in starting any business is always some fear that you're going to deal with. I actually was featured in Essence because I had started several businesses, and basically the title is Comeback Queen because we never give up. We just keep going.
That's right. I love that. So, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. So I've kind of enjoyed being an entrepreneur. I think having the freedom to make your own choices. And most of that is walking in your own fears. You deal with your own issues. And basically you're relying on God for your income because you're independent. You're not really as dependent on man, so to speak.
Absolutely. And so with the knick-knack shop, so you basically said we. So who is the we that you're referring to?
Well, my husband's always the person in the background. So he's always, it's him and I doing a lot of things together.
Got it.
I ventured out recently with Success Women's Conference, and I have a different business partner there. But most of the time it's been my husband and I. He's been in the healthcare field as well for basically almost as long as I have. But
okay.
We actually just we started that company out uh, doing little things, selling things that we picked up, things that are unique.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we came into, everything comes to a closure. Sometimes it's not the right time or right area,
Right,
that
right.
type of thing. So you keep going on. And after spending a little more time in the healthcare field, when we came here, we actually started doing our staffing business. And again, there was a lot of fear in that because you have to actually go out and get contracts and
Right. Right.
negotiate and all that type of stuff. And then, of course, at the end of the day, God just pointed us in the direction of the home care business, which we've been in for over 20 something years.
Okay.
He just basically, sometimes if you can't see your way, or as they say, can't follow directions, basically he was pointing and giving us all the signs. And it's a little funny story I tell, because the lady, one client that we had, because we're both in occupational therapy, and
Okay.
one of our clients at the time working in the nursing home really wanted us to come home and take care of her husband. But as you well know, occupational therapists and therapy assistants, they make a good bit of money. And
Yeah.
so when she offered us 10 an hour, I was like, well, being nice, we're from the South, definitely didn't want to hurt her feelings, but it was just nothing we could afford to do in our minds at the time.
Right, right.
Of course, less than months later, we were literally sitting out thinking, actually, that I don't know if you remember, but I'm old enough to mention a time when Medicare actually shut down the whole rehab system as far as how people get paid and things like that. A lot of people got laid off.
Oh, I did
So,
not know that.
man,
When was that? Was that in the 80s
that
or
was in the
90s?
90s,
90s. Okay,
late
gotcha.
90s, late
Okay.
90s. And I had seen it coming, and I
Yeah.
didn't know it was going to be that dramatic, but they pinked for where I was. In the everybody in the nation really got pink slips,
Okay,
and at
got it.
least everybody where we were down here were calling trying to find rehab jobs. Of course, if you're getting laid off and everybody else around you, there's no jobs. And
Correct.
so the way the story is my husband asked, "So what are we gonna do?" Because he was still working for a company, and I was working on the business and doing some PRN work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just laughed. I told him, I said, "We gotta go and do the business." That little lady asked us about taking care of her husband at home. Well, not that that job was still available, but
Right,
that's
right.
what we're gonna do. And sure enough, that's what we did. And God gave us our first 24-hour client from there, and we just rolled from there.
That is so awesome. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. It's so funny because like a lot of times when we look at businesses, and even when we have something that we're not sure, we kind of quote unquote fall into, it is always like a life circumstance that leads you that way,
Mhm.
or a problem that you have that you figure out the solution for. And you're like, well, wait, if I have this problem, I wonder if there are other people out there who have this problem. And then the next thing you know, you're like doing it for a friend, and the friend refers you. And then before you know it, it's like it's a business. So, wow, that is amazing that you
Right.
had that seed planted from that one family reaching out to you and asking you for that. And then for you to be able to reap the harvest from that when you needed it the most, when everything was going south for the industry.
Mm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
That is
It
amazing.
definitely is. God works in mysterious ways, and he will send you the signs. It's just up to us to capitalize on them. He can only walk you so far. You have to drink the water.
Exactly. Exactly. No, there's no doubt. So you mentioned something in passing that I think that you really need to elaborate on, which is you mentioned that you are the co-founder and director of Success Women's Conference. And it sounds like this is a pretty big conference because it has over 1,100 attendees. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. So
So
what's the story behind that conference?
another tip. Well, for me, it's been, I have, so going backwards a little bit, I've actually ran a few other conferences, collaborated and worked with some other people. Blessed Gyrls Rock is one, and then my own conference that I co-founded with another person called R.I.P.E, Resource Information and Planning for the Elderly. And
Okay.
so as some of that was coming to the end, the R.I.P.E conference, and both of those were kind of large. We had 500 to 600 people at
Okay.
those conferences. But success, I actually was talking to my branding specialist, and she's also the owner of Gulf Coast Woman magazine, Dorothy Wilson. And we were actually talking one day about a women's conference,
Yeah.
because for the last, I would say up until that point, for about 10 plus years easily, women here on the Gulf Coast we were always getting these conversations about, well, we really need a conference here for women. So, and when people say that, yes, there are things that we have had here
Right.
that have been in a format, but not really a conference, a true conference where you come and kind of drill down and learn things. So at that time, her and I, we looked at each other and we were like, you know what, why don't we just do it? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And we actually had around 525 people the first year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, we were surprised as well. And then we kind of just grew. In 2017, we had another national speaker come down, Cheryl Wood. And then we saw another spike where the women were, you could see how women were really intrigued and motivated to do something more. They felt like they could just do anything. And I actually had somebody say, I feel like I can fly. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
wow,
That's so awesome.
it really is. And then we had Lisa Nichols, and everybody knows
Okay.
Lisa Nichols,
Yeah.
motivational speaker, with
Yes.
Robin Roberts and her sisters. And
Wow.
we saw that in 2018, and the people were just elated.
Of
They
course.
just, you could tell that they were getting something from the conference. And so each year we're looking, growing, listening, trying to see what's missing. And you can't do everything, but you can do enough to where people aren't leaving hungry. So
That's right.
each year I feel like people are still, we still have some things that we have to do to make sure that we kind of satisfy the needs of people. I feel like the women here on the coast, and now that we've become more of a national conference, the women here on the coast are slowly seeing everything is just beyond Mississippi,
I got
and
you. Oh, that's
we have to
awesome.
move in that out of the source of just doing the mundane same old same thing. So anyway, so we went to we actually were expecting 900 people in 2018 and wound up with over 1,000,
Wow.
1,100 people in attendance. So it was really great.
That is great. That is a awesome success. And then, so the other thing is, before you guys did the first one, it sounded like, you had experience under your belt from the previous conferences that you did, but was there, going off on your own, was there any fear associated with that? Because even with experience, sometimes when we start doing ventures that are on a bigger scale, or maybe are, even if it's something like for you, something that was close to home, there's a different feel, a different vibe, a different fear that can be associated with that. Did you experience anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to do it again with another conference I have coming up. I'm creating my own conference called Power Up Summit. And no matter who and when I do or collaborate with or not collaborate, there's always this underlining, fear of what if this doesn't happen. I'm about, one of the presentations I give is about butts in the seats. And so there are layers a
Yeah.
fear when
Yeah.
you're going into a conference and you're actually the person responsible. I always tell people I kind of focus on making sure we have the money
Right.
and getting making sure we have the vendors and presence and all that. And the closer I get to the conference, then my fear kind of turns to what if people don't show, because people do buy tickets and then they don't
And
show up.
that's true.
And
They do.
so it's just all that kind of, envelops it, just surrounds you. And you're like, well, at some point you have to let that go and you have to really kind of just walk through it. What's going to happen is going to happen. I remember the first year we did Blessed Gyrls Rock, and we actually hosted it at my pastor's church. And I remember rolling up to the parking lot and I was thinking, as we turned the corner, is anybody going to be here? And that's what I was thinking. And when I turned around, the parking lot was full. And I was like, wow,
Wow.
okay, people
Yeah.
got it. Because the church is not in it's not in a prominent location, So you're always thinking, are people going to show up? Are they buying what you're selling? Do they believe in what you're doing?
Right.
And will they follow you? So that being said, they came out, and of course, it wasn't just about me; it was a team of us. But all that work being put in, you're hoping that somebody responds. So yeah, and that's every time I go to any event that I'm hosting, planning, and whether it's a smaller event or a bigger event, I have the same things all the time.
Wow. Wow. So that's some great advice. It sounds like from what you're saying that you break it down. You break down the different levels of your fear associated with each event. So it sounds like the initial fear is related to the planning stage. Then the next step, you have some fear that you work through that's related to getting closer to the event. And then the final stage that you work through as far as fear is at the actual events, at the venue, like making sure that, making sure that those that you were hoping to come will actually show up, and make sure your speakers will be there, and, like all of the logistical things. And so it's good that you provide that advice, though, because it sounds like the advice that you're providing is, despite the fact that at every stage you may have fear, you have to trust that you have put the work in and that you are putting out a quality product that others are going to want to consume. So that's awesome. That's great advice. I know a lot of us do have fear surrounding, what we do or putting out. And so, just that's a good way to look at it.
Right. Yeah. After doing it for so many times, you start to notice a consistent pattern. Even my partner with success, she said, Kearn, you do the same thing every year. You worry about the sponsors and all that in the beginning, and then a couple of months out, you're panicking over, do we have enough people registered? Do we have enough people paying attention? And I'm like, yeah, it's true. I'm very consistent with that, because I do understand at the end of the day that the butts in the seats is really what's going to drive your conference.
Definitely. Wow. No, that's great. That is great. Yeah, it's funny because, like, I talk to people, because so I'm a physician. That is my vocation, but my passion projects are varied. From this podcast, which is my passion project, and to public speaking and a couple other things that I do. But it's always, there's always that thing in the back of your mind, that says, do you explore the next phase? Do you do something more? So I don't know, that something more could be many different things for different people. But I think that the most scary something more is what you do, and you seem to do very, very well, which is actually doing a live event. Right? Because, people are going to be following you from your other things, from your other ventures. at least from this vantage point, like people are following this podcast, like people are following social media, the things that I put on social media. They may be following other things. But I think that the next level of intense fear that would probably envelop me would be to actually do something like what you do routinely, which is to do a live event. So it's encouraging to hear from you that it is something that is doable.
Oh yeah, it's definitely doable. It's just planning time, plan, structure. And it's funny how you mentioned that, where I am, where the live events for me have become, I guess because I've been in a position where I've done at least a couple of them a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Almost with a few months in between. Blessed Gyrls Rock and Success ran up until the year before in the same year. And it was, it was constant. And so I was always, my thing is, it's always asking people to support it and things like that and getting behind it. The other thing, but for me, I guess not, when you say that, I think about some of the other things that I'm doing, which I'm launching. I'm going to be announcing my first book collaboration anthology.
Yeah, great. Congrats.
And I can say, from not being a natural writer, it is very fearful, because though people always tell me, well, Kearn, you sell all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I sell what I know all the time. When I start selling something that's a little different for me, it brings on a different type of stress. Though you can't sell something you don't believe in.
Correct.
But even though you believe in it, if it's new and it's something that you don't do all the time, it takes a little more to get over that fear. And so I'm actually doing a book called Trailblazers Who Lead.
Okay.
And so I'll be actually approaching people to be authors in the book, and hopefully, but that's a fear for me. A fear is that, will people actually want to do it, and that type of stuff. So there are always fears that we will have to challenge ourselves to overcome. And I guess, to me, if you don't have any fear in it, it may not even be worth doing. If it comes
wow, that's a purr right there.
Yeah, I mean, really.
If you have no fear, it's not worth doing.
Exactly.
I love it. Love that.
Exactly. So that's just me. I think it's, you have to challenge yourself each year. People talked about this 2020 vision. And for the first year, I've actually taken time to write down my plans pre the new year.
Right. Yes.
I've always kind of, go in feet first, head last, type thing. And when you think about that, the people who are planning their strategizing their year out probably have a little better advantage. And so this year, after I finished Success, I said, I'm going to do some new things, and I need to take some time to actually plan out what I want to do differently this year. And so I've actually been working on my 2020 vision now for several months. And so
awesome. Yeah, no, that's key. That's key, because what they say in business, and you're probably familiar with this already, but they say that you cannot plan for quarter one in quarter one, which is essentially what people do. They say, okay, December 31st, they're sitting down, they're like, I'm going to write my goals now, or I'm going to meet my plan now. And it's too late. You have to plan for quarter one in quarter four of the previous year. I mean, that's just what you have to do in order to start off the year right, in order to really see the progress that you would like to see. So yeah, no, that's a great pearl, because oftentimes we don't think that way. We think about in that quarter, doing for that quarter, instead of thinking that you actually are planning in this section for the next section. And that's not out of the question for Q4 and Q1. So yeah, no, No, that's good. Awesome.
Right.
And then, so you have something else coming up. So you have the book coming up. So when is the book going to be released? Do you know yet or no?
So we're releasing the book in April. My goal is to release it in April so that I'll have the book signing, book launch at the Power Up Summit, which will be in New Orleans, which is
Okay.
another fear and for me, because I'm in Biloxi. I normally plan everything over in Mississippi.
Oh,
So,
I see. A new locale being the fear.
yes,
Not okay. Not the actual
yes,
locale. I'm like, why are you
right.
afraid of NOLA? It's nice
Well,
there.
I love New Orleans. New Orleans is only an hour from me, so it's not too far of a stress.
Right.
But when you're doing your own smaller, I don't want to do two success in 1 year.
Gotcha.
So smaller conference, a little more focused, and I'll be doing that at the end of May 29th through the 31st. So we're really I'm really excited about being able to have these co-authors join me, and then to be able to recognize them as at the conference as well. So
Okay. No, that sounds like a great idea.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. Yeah. So if you, so just so the audience knows, this was pre-recorded before the release. So it's going to be, it'll be a little while after we've talked, Kearn and I have talked, that this will come out. But if we do get, like, if you have a link or if you have some kind of something having to do with the conference that you want added, then, or if you know it now, definitely share it. Otherwise, I'll add it to the show notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And get you some exposures. I'm sure there's people listening to this who are in NOLA, so they may be interested in going and attending and getting a book and everything. And
Right.
then the other thing is, you have something else coming out this year, don't you? Are you starting a podcast or no?
Oh, yes. I'm starting a podcast, and I'll be starting that sometime in January. I'll be kicking that off. And of course, Success Women's Conference will actually be again in September 2020. We're still locking down those dates.
Okay.
On location and stuff. But anyway, yeah, Success 2020 and my podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot, but I had to push myself to do something different. I kept saying I'm gonna do a book. I'm gonna get a book out, and my husband has told me, you got several books already in you. All you got to do is do it. I'm not a natural writer in the sense of, some people are journalists, like my partner, she's a journalist by trade. But for me, it's more of, this is something that I know I need to do. It's just something that I haven't pushed through the fear to do.
Got it.
So this year is the year. So
yes, love it. Love that.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, love it. Every single thing you said, it's great.
Yeah.
Yes, pushing through that fear to do those things that are outside our comfort zone. Because you know what? That's when the most growth happens. I mean, time and time again, that's been proven, and it is just a fact. So yeah, no, kudos to you for doing that, because I feel like a lot of times, we may get in a situation where we're good at something. Like, it sounds like you're really good at what you do. And so, you get into that groove and you're like, oh, it's like second nature. Like, I know how to, I know how to book the thing. I know how to make it happen. I know how to make it right. I know how to make it successful. And then you don't get a chance to operate or to charge muscles and skills that maybe could be developed more. So by you doing something that you're not totally comfortable with, which is writing, you are going to be sparking that part of your brain. And it's going to mean that the other parts of your brain that have been working and excelling will also be fed. So that is fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, thank you. It's a challenge, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's challenging.
Well, being a part of 2 anthologies before,
Yes.
Being a part of it is easy. For me
Yeah.
it is because
All you gotta do is write
there's
your
no
part, write your
planning.
chapter.
Exactly. But when you are responsible,
Right.
making sure that this is received well, that your team publicizes well, that just the whole vision of it
Oh
comes
yeah.
off well, and that you draw the right people to the project. So for me, it's like, okay, this is a little different from being in the other part of the room.
Right.
So
Right.
yes, but I have some team members who call me and text me and say, okay, are we taking the next step? Are you let's move. You got to make that decision today.
Awesome.
So
Accountability. That's good.
accountability.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really do appreciate that, because it kind of keeps me pushing forward, and doing things that I don't naturally uh, just do on my own sometimes.
Right.
I may speak it, I may even get it started, but sometimes you just need that extra nudge to just go through,
Yes. No,
As
yes.
they
Yes. We
say,
do need
walk
that
through the
push. We
fire.
need the push.
Yes.
We do need it. That is true.
Hmm.
That is so true.
Yes. Absolutely. So,
Great.
yay.
Yeah, no, this has been such a great conversation. I've gotten so many nuggets from you. So I appreciate
Mhm.
that. And I know that those that are listening are getting the nuggets as well. And hopefully, as a result of our conversation, there'll be somebody, maybe some people who will decide that they're going to do something different, that they're going to like push themselves and step outside of their comfort zone and push past the fear, just like you described, to do that thing that's going to make them better and to help them to grow. So you never know. I may have some feedback from this episode saying that someone's, deciding that they're going to write their book, or they're going to start their podcast, or they're going to do their first live event. You just never know. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your experiences, because I feel like it is definitely a value, and it will edify the hearts and minds of those that are listening. So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me. And I do want to point out that I do, because I've been in the field so long doing live events, I have started doing some training and teaching people how to do that. There are, of course, always a lot of different working parts when putting together an event, whether it's trying to get 50 at an event, or 150 or 1,000.
Right.
There's always different things that you should do in order to plan and have a successful event. So I do train and talk, counsel, I should say coach different people on the process of getting that done and being successful. So that being said, I love networking. I love collaborating. That's always a big part of what I do. It's probably part of the reason why I'm so successful in everything that I do, is that I love to collaborate with other people. And so I look forward to any comments or anybody having any questions. I love to talk to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely send them your way. And so one thing about that, do you have like I don't see where you send this to me, but maybe you have already, or do you want to just tell the listeners where they can learn more about you, where they can contact you? Would it be your
Okay.
LinkedIn, or would it be a website?
Well, my website is KearnCherry.com. So they can go to
Okay.
my website and find a lot there about speaking. Of course, I'm always on LinkedIn. I actually think that is one of the most underused social media
Yes, I
sites.
agree with you.
Just amazing.
It is amazing.
Right. And of course, I'm always on Facebook. I'm really big on promoting and sharing. So I do a lot of social media. So I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram.
You have all of them.
Exactly.
And then are you Kearn Cherry on all of them, or?
Yes, I am
Okay.
Kearn Cherry on all of them. If you can also do PRN home care as
Okay.
well.
All right. We'll make sure to put both of these in the show notes then. That'd be great. Yeah, because then people want to contact you. They can definitely go and check you out and see if they want to utilize you for even the home care services, or if they want to utilize you for coaching, or they're interested in coming to the conference, etc. So that would be great. Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, this has been a great conversation. And I know that you're a little bit under the weather, so I really appreciate you pushing through despite that. And I think we're gonna probably do our fill in the blanks now then. Are you up for that?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Okay, awesome. All right. So the first one is, if I am fearless, I will.
If I am fearless, I will conquer all.
Sweet. And the next one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
Fearless freedom means walking through the fear regardless.
Okay. I like it. I like that. And then the last is, my battle cry is.
Let's see. Well, one that I use a lot is success must be taken.
I love that. That's right. That is right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us and to share your wisdom and experience with the Fearless Freedom Tribe. It has been a pleasure talking with you, and I really hope that you feel better really soon, because I know how annoying a cough and cold can be, and so I hope that you convalesce quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for joining us today on this journey. Fear is all around us. It strives to stop us from achieving our greatness. We have the tools to be overcomers. By sharing our stories, supporting each other, and doing self-reflection, we can do this. If you found value in this conversation today, please be sure to subscribe to and share this podcast with your friends. By going to your favorite podcast platform, leaving a review and a 5-star rating, you will help to get the word out about it. And that is much appreciated. Thanks again for spending time with us. I appreciate your time and your attention. It is my hope that you will punch fear in the face today, and that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.